Good evening and welcome to the Ways and Means Committee for today, Monday, October the 28th. I'm Councilwoman Ty Atkins, President of the Gary Common Council, representing the 4th District and also the Chair of the Ways and Means Committee. Joining me this evening, I have the following members of the Gary Common Council, representing the 2nd District, Dwayne Halliburton, Councilman at Large, Darren Washington, Vice President of the Gary Common Council, Lori Latham, Parliamentarian representing the 5th District, Linda Barnes Caldwell, Representative at Large, Councilwoman Mary Ivy. We also have our members of our team, our fiscal advisor, Bill Outlaw, as well as our legal advisor, Attorney Renzer Williams, here in the chamber with us. On the agenda, we have 2 ordinances to review tonight. It is the budgets for the Civic City of Gary, CPO 2024-56, which is an ordinance approving the salaries for the employees of the City of Gary, General Parks, Police, Fire, seated MVH, Police Pension, Fire Pension Tax-Based Funds for the calendar year of 2025, and CPO 2024-57, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purposes of defraying the expenses for the General Parks, Police, and Fire, lit, seated, CLL, CCD, MVH, Casino, LGA, Fire Pension, Police Pension Tax-Based Funds for the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January 1 of 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing in time when the same shall take effect. Both of those ordinances are sponsored by the Mayor of the City, Eddie D. Melton, as well as our City Controller, Salita Green. We will actually review these in tandem. We have had a series of different convenings from a committee perspective to review proposed changes or proposed updates from various department heads that is over the respective budgets. We have worked collectively with the administration to propose some updated changes that will also, of course, reflect both on the salary and operating side. Council members, before you is an overview of those proposed changes, and I will lead the effort to walk through those changes, entertain any questions, and anything else that we need to review related to the other departments that are not reflected in the proposed changes. We can do that at that time. Is everyone in alignment with that? Okay, very good. Can I have my glasses on? Okay. So I just wanted to go over council proposed changes to the following departments: Public Work Department 90, Human Resource, which is Department 170, Commission for Women, Department 190, Police Commission 240, the Police Civic overall 250 is the Department. Supportive Services for the Police Department, which is Department 258. The Fire Department 290, Finance, which is 600, Community Investment 603, Redevelopment 801, and the Park Department 253. I'll walk through proposed changes to, again, the initial that was submitted in September and entertain any questions related to that. And then we will open the floor for any questions about any other elements of the budget. So proposed from what was initially presented before us for Public Works Department. Give me one second. The explanation of proposed improvements, if you look at the second section on the sheet that's in front of you, there was in fact a proposed title change for the General Service Administrator position to be deemed a General Service Manager position. Initially, there was proposed salary to increase from $35,070 to 48%. The administration has came back to decrease that proposed salary for the new position, I should say, to be at $42,000. In comparison to the ranges of salaries within the city, that is aligned respective to the duties and responsibilities of that role as well, from a salary comparison standpoint. Under the Human Resource Department 170, there was proposed changes to a number of salaries in that department. We have actually asked for a reallocation of those proposed changes, and I will break those out in detail. And if you open up your packet that had the agenda to it, and if you look at the actual budget for that department, you will be able to follow along. And so I'll wait until everyone gets that. Okay, so moving along, Department 170, again, is Human Resource. Initially proposed changes was to increase the overall salary by 10.7% for all. We have just reallocated where the bottom line will increase to 10%. The following changes will be reflected. The Human Resource Director, total salary will be 73, increase from 5%, not the initial 10% that was initially asked for. Human Resource Deputy Director position, increased 10% to 59. Benefits Manager increased 5% actually to 45. Benefits Leave Wellness Coordinator, 44. Administrative Assistant, same thing. No change to the Training Specialist position, and then the Human Resource Generalist position has been increased to 44. The reason and justification of the increases is to be in compliance with the FSLA law that we know came into effect in July 1, and so we have proposed acceptance of that particular adjustment. Any questions related to that? Okay, moving along to Department 190. Actually, we'll revisit 190. Police Commission, which is 240. There was a mistake that was printed out, and I think it was just a scribbleless error? Yes, learned that word last year. A scribbleless error in terms of data entry input, and so there should be parity between the Police Commission administrator position as well as the Fire Commission administrative position, which should have been at, I think it was, here we go, 47,751. However, the entry was incorrect last year, and so we just established parity. Both of the positions will be set at 47,761, and that's only an adjustment to Department 240 Police Commission and increasing it by $10. In 258, which is our supportive service fund for the police department, there are the following respective changes. The administrative position, there was 2 positions there, but they have very distinct different roles and responsibilities. One actually supports the police chief, and the other supports the operation of the command staff. And so to put differential between those 2, we did recommend a change of title to the administrative assistant role to be designated executive administrative assistant to the chief. And then we rounded up that particular salary to 48. And again, that is to establish parity for all of the administrative assistant positions across the city. They all are relatively around that particular pay grade. Gary for Life coordinator initially recommended there was a change asked, and we have a line that that particular title will in fact stay as the Gary for Life coordinator. There was a request to support additional position at 4411, which is special police, and that was proposed by the administration. There's no respective proposed change to that. Any questions related to 258? $259, which is animal control. Colleagues, this one just came up. This is reflected on the actual budget, but it's not on my summary list. I apologize for that. I'll update this for us tomorrow, and we'll review this in the public meeting. But for 259, this is the animal control salary budget. There is, in that particular budget, an animal control supervisor, and then there are 4 corresponding animal control officers. Those positions are set and was increased by 11% for the control officer and by 21% for the animal control supervisor for a salary of $43,500. Now, this was proposed by the administration. That's not where the change is. The change is on the operations side. just to supplement additional overtime that will be required and to be in compliance with, again, the FSLA law. We did just increase our overtime budget from 20,000 to 10,000 in case we do need to supplement additional overtime for these particular positions. Okay. Okay. We will update this that's reflected in the budget for 600. We just caught that there was a error in terms of proposed salary. The proposed salary was in fact to be the same as 2024, and so there's no change. On your sheet, you'll see that there was a decrease proposed just to stay the same, but that was an error in terms of what was submitted to us. So there shouldn't have been any change on what was proposed, and so we'll update that. The Department of Community Investment, which is 603. Let's see. Just wanted to note, when you look at the salary ordinance, it will look as if there was an increase to the budget salary for each particular position, but that's not the case. Those positions have subsidies, which is also stated on that. And so just wanted to make sure that you all understood that the subsidy will no longer be coming from those supplemental sources. The full salaries for each position will come out of the general fund. So that's so the value that you see in the 2025 proposed is actually the addition of that original 2024 budget plus the subsidy, so there's no change. Any questions on that? Okay, 801 redevelopment budget. The initial proposal has been adjusted. There was an error in removing all of the administrative positions for that particular department. And so one administrative position at the 42, because we round up and that's the comparable salary for all administrative positions that we have throughout the city. At that level, it's 42,000. There is an adjustment for, and again, this is on the notes breakdown too, on that file that I just sent out to you all. There was an act to support a role of an economic development director. That particular position will be supplemented by community development. The general fund will support 40,000, and community development will support 40,000 for a total of 80,000 for that particular position. And that was the only change. So we'll keep the planning administrator position. There was a request to add a new position of the economic development director versus eliminating the planning administrator. We definitely need both of those. And again, that salary will be supplemented by half of it coming from community development. Any questions on 801? The parks budget, 253, we know that is a separate tax levy funded department. Council's position is to not support additional increases to the park director position and parks manager position for 2025. The parks manager position was increased last year for this year in 2023. was increased for 2023, excuse me. And then the park director position was also increased in 2023 and additionally increased at the start of 2024. The accounting technician position was accepted at $41,000. That is comparable to the accounting technician position that we have under Public Works, I believe is the department. And just a note to update formatting for the budget, the recreation positions, there was a rec aid and the districts was listed. The first one being allocated to districts 2, 3, and 4, and the second one, districts 5 and 6. That was, again, a scribblers error. We had addressed that 2 years ago, and I believe it just carried over from the file that was used. And so in the budget that was approved for 2024, that was not there, nor was it there in 2023. And keep in mind, colleagues, some of these other increases that we're not discussing, we already approved those in a former ordinance, the Teamsters ordinance. A lot of those were already addressed. Any questions related to those changes to the parks? Okay. And that was the only updates that we had from the proposed submission from the administration in terms of changes. At this time, if we want to discuss any other departments, confirmation, we should probably do the council's budget. I don't think that I did that in the previous committee hearings, so I would do that at this time. So council's budgets, no increases for elected officials, of course. Office manager / chief of staff position will sustain its salaried level. Legislative assistants to be in parity with other corresponding roles across the city. We included the following changes. Legislative assistant higher level will be 46, mid-level 42, and then our other level will be at 37. We did, in fact, earlier this year, add a position to support the Gary Common Council from a media perspective. That position was in another budget. It was in our casino operations fund, and we just moved that to this particular general fund. So this is something, again, that we approved back in July, but we're just shifting it to the general fund from, again, the casino operating fund. And then, let's see. And then we just decreased a portion of the second intern position and supplemented that additional funding to that original intern position for use for the summer if needed. Overall, projected increase was I believe it's 5.7%, so less than 1%, 0.6, I'm sorry, 0.6% for the council. And there's operating decreases that supplement that as well on the operating side. I believe that's it in terms of proposed changes, overview of the council budget, since we didn't do that back in September. At this time, if there's any additional questions from my colleagues related to the salary or operating portion of the 2025 salary, I'll address that at this time.
Yes, Madam President.
Councilman Washington.
So regarding the parks budget on 253, so if there was a discussion regarding the park director's salary, do we have that now, or is that a discussion for when we approve the budget?
No, I think that we should outline all concerns today.
Okay. I just make my concerns known regarding the resolution that we tabled at the last meeting regarding the parks director, that money should be paid back by way of reducing salary or some kind of way. I just have a concern. I know there was no increases, but I think there should be a discussion if we need to reduce that salary going forward for next year.
Okay.
With And I guess let me ask a question also, because I don't want to not vote for the entire budget because I have a problem with a department. So am I able to vote to approve the entire budget with a no vote on a particular parks, or do I have to say yay or nay
Yeah,
for the
no.
entire budget?
Yes, so no, you can always do an amendment on the floor, amend by substitution, and just state what portion that you want to amend. And, we'll get consensus on that and ensure that that's your motion. And council could move to, to support that or not. So you do not have to accept it in its entirety. There's always an opportunity to do an amendment on the floor.
Okay.
And then let me be clear about, I just want to make sure everyone understands. So initially, there was a salary proposed for 2025 at 75 for the park director and for the parks manager at 60,000. And so position of the council was, of course, not to accept any increases to those positions, both of which had been already approved for increases. I think I have it on this sheet. So the park manager position increased for 2023, so just last year, to that 58,349 level. Again, the parks director position just increased last year to a level of 68,000. Yeah, 68 initially for last year, and then in January of this year, we increased to 70,000, so an additional 2,000 less than 2-3 months later, to support again the level of need from I guess the skill set perspective that we thought was justified to execute the needs of that particular position. So I just want to be clear for the record, Councilman.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam President, sorry.
No problem. Any additional concerns, colleagues? Councilman Washington has brought us some great points. Is there any other discussion related to that or any other portions of the budget? Councilman Barnes Caldwell?
Well, I was listening to Councilman Washington, and you mentioned about cutting the budget, the salary. There's no guarantee that that person will be here to receive that salary next year, so we need to concentrate on that resolution. Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Councilman of the 5th District, Linda Barnes Caldwell. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Any other discussions, comments? Okay. I didn't have anyone from the public who signed up, but I'm not sure if they seen the list. Was anyone from the public who wanted to speak for or against or have any questions? I'll entertain those at this time since it is, in fact, the budget. No? Oh, very good. Going once, going twice. Great. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Carl Sender. Hey, Mr. Sender, it's good to see you. Hey. And so, Gary Common Council, we appreciate you joining us through this process. Again, the budget is a very important aspect of what, in fact, our responsibilities is or are, I should say, for as being fiscal agents for the city of Gary. We do have a special meeting of the Gary Common Council tomorrow. The intent of that meeting is to review the following budgets. It is both CPO 2024, is this 55? No, 56, 57. And then we will also be taking action on CPO 2024-55 tomorrow, which is a special redevelopment budget to support the city as well. And so that meeting will start at 5:30. Typically, our meetings are at 6, but tomorrow we will start at 5:30 again just to review those particular aspects. We'll do a brief overview and also talk about the high-level numbers as well for the general fund budget and then the other levies supporting the operations of the city. And then we will review these particular proposed changes, ensure that we're aligned with the administration, and I will move for vote. If there is no additional discussion from my colleagues, okay, very good. It is now 6:39 p.m. and the meeting is adjourned. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.